Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Zad Academy course summaries. Now, just a quick heads up, this channel is entirely independent and isn't officially affiliated with or endorsed by Zad Academy. But, our mission here is absolutely clear. We're here to make authentic Islamic knowledge completely accessible, taking these incredible lessons and transforming them into a premium, engaging explainer just for you. Before we dive into the good stuff, do take a quick second to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It really helps us keep delivering these high-quality summaries. All right, today is a big one. We are officially opening the door to level 1 of Fiqh, so let's get right into it. We're kicking things off with a profoundly beautiful truth. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us, whomever Allah wishes good for, he gives him understanding, or fiqh, of the religion. Now, the spiritual stakes here, they're absolutely immense. I mean, think about it for a second. Did you know the prophets didn't leave behind a single dinar or dirham? They literally left no worldly wealth. Their actual lasting inheritance was knowledge. So when we sit down to study fiqh, we are directly claiming our share of that prophetic inheritance. It's an incredible sign that Allah genuinely wants good for you. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be hitting 5 key areas. Number 1, conditions for accepted worship. 2, the meaning of fiqh. 3, why we need fiqh. 4, the branches of jurisprudence. And finally, number 5, starting with purification. Let's start right at the top. Section 1, conditions for accepted worship. Look, ultimately, every single one of us investing time in this study wants the exact same thing, right? We want to know for sure that our daily deeds and our prayers are actually being accepted by Allah. And for any act of worship to be accepted, it absolutely must meet 2 non-negotiable conditions. Step 1 is sincerity to Allah, which is known in Arabic as ikhlas. You've got to do it for Him and Him alone. But, well, having a pure intention is really only half the equation. Step 2 is that the action has to strictly follow the Prophet's sunnah. Imagine having incredible sincerity, but performing the action completely wrong. It just isn't accepted. And on the flip side, if you do it perfectly but you're just showing off for other people, it's also rejected. Now, this dynamic perfectly illustrates how Islamic sciences are divided. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. Actions of the heart, things like sincerity, fear, hope, and pure love for Allah, those are all governed by the science of aqidah, or theology. But actions of the body, like how you physically pray, how you fast, the physical steps of Hajj, those are governed by fiqh. So aqidah secures the sincerity deep in our hearts, while fiqh ensures our physical bodies perform the actions correctly and, crucially, free from any innovation. Moving right along to Section 2, the meaning of fiqh. Scholars are incredibly precise when defining this. Linguistically speaking, the word fiqh simply means understanding. But technically, when we talk about it as a structured science, it is the knowledge of practical Islamic rulings from their detailed evidence. Notice that last part carefully, because it's a real game changer. From their detailed evidence. Fiqh is not just blind imitation. You don't just do something because, hey, everyone else at the mosque is doing it. It's about deeply understanding the rules based strictly on divine proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah. All right, Section 3, why we need fiqh. Now, you might actually be wondering, if we already have the Quran and the Hadith, isn't that enough? Like, why can't we simply read a Hadith describing exactly how the Prophet, peace be upon him, prayed, and just leave it at that? Why in the world do we need volumes upon volumes of fiqh books? Well, here's the thing. While the Hadith gives us the absolute perfect scenario, the ultimate ideal way to worship, real life is, let's face it, pretty unpredictable and messy. That is exactly where fiqh equips us. It doesn't just teach the traits of perfection, it also gives us the minimum sufficient traits. Say you're traveling and you only have a few drops of water for wudu. Fiqh tells you the bare minimum required for it to still be valid. It also clearly outlines invalidating factors, the exact things that break your worship. And honestly, perhaps most importantly, it gives us the methodology to handle totally unprecedented modern situations. And that brings us to what scholars call nawazil, contemporary issues. Imagine trying to figure out how to pray on a commercial airplane, zooming at 500 miles an hour, or checking the validity of wudu with modern waterproof makeup, or figuring out complex online crypto transactions. None of these specific scenarios existed 1400 years ago. But through fiqh, and this brilliant scholarly process called ijtihad, scholars can take foundational texts and apply them to solve today's problems. Actually, this is exactly what the great companion Mu'adh bin Jabal had to do when the Prophet sent him to Yemen.
He had to figure out rulings for brand new situations on the fly. It really proves that Islamic law is a dynamic, living science.
Let's look at the big picture now. Section 4. The branches of jurisprudence. Fiqh is this amazingly comprehensive system. It literally organizes every single aspect of human life. At the very top, we have worship, or ibadat. This covers your personal pillars like prayer and fasting. Then it ripples outward into family transactions, managing things like marriage and inheritance. Then it expands even further into financial transactions, buying, selling, loans, modern corporate setups. And finally, it maintains societal order through boundaries and crimes, which details punishments and testimonies. It's fascinating because fiqh guides you seamlessly from the quiet, spiritual moments in the mosque straight into the hustle and bustle of the marketplace.
But before we go any further, there is a massive, absolutely crucial distinction you need to grasp. In worship, ibadat, you are strictly bound by the texts. The principle here is talqif. That means absolutely no innovation is allowed. None. You can't just invent a sixth daily prayer because you feel extra spiritual, and you can't decide to fast by standing out in the hot sun all day. But in transactions, or mu'amalats, the rule is entirely flipped. The foundation there is that everything is fundamentally permissible, and innovation is totally allowed unless a text specifically prohibits it. And that is exactly why we can go out and invent new online businesses or tech startups today, but we can absolutely never invent a new way to pray.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, starting with purification. If you crack open any classical book of fiqh, you'll notice they all start with the exact same chapter, Lahara. Linguistically, it just means cleanliness, but technically, it's a profound three-layered process, purifying the heart from shirk, lifting ritual impurity, and removing physical filth. Why do scholars always start here? Because Allah simply does not accept any prayer without it. There's a really beautiful scholarly principle at play here, clearing before adorning. You have to clear away the impurities first before you can adorn yourself with the beautiful spiritual act of standing in front of your Creator. To make this a bit more concrete, we need to contrast two very different types of impurity that fiqh talks about. First, there's hadath. This is a ritual or abstract impurity. Think of the state your body is in right after waking up from a deep sleep. You can't actually see this impurity on your skin, right? But it's a state that requires wudu or ghusl to lift. On the other hand, we have najis. This is a physical impurity. This is the visible dirt or filth that gets physically stuck to your clothes or your body. You don't need a whole spiritual ritual for this, you just physically wash it away. Grasping this difference between the invisible ritual state and the visible physical filth is quite literally your very first key to mastering practical fiqh. And with that, the foundation for level 1 is completely set. We've explored what fiqh actually is, why we desperately need it to navigate our modern messy world, and how it fiercely guards our worship while giving us the freedom to innovate in our daily transactions. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. Are you ready to perfect your prayer? I highly, highly encourage you to take that next step and continue your learning journey through the official Zad Academy curriculum. Thank you so much for joining us for today's explainer. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah reward you with immense goodness, and please keep seeking that beautiful prophetic inheritance.